The Global Latin Factor Podcast.
Welcome you and all to another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. Thank you very much for joining us to another episode and another video. If you're on audio, thank you very much as well. Subscribe to the channel. Go give us a review, 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You already know the business. Today, very awesome treat because we have an entrepreneur, visionary, multimedia producer, engineer, sound designer, filmmaker, hip-hop artist, gamer, more recently, Metaverse content creator, founder and co-owner, engineer, music producer of VK Beatz, co-founder and co-owner of Valley of the Kings Music, Valley of the Kings super producer. Get him before he goes platinum. We have a very passionate and committed music professional, Billy Syn. What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Cool, man. Cool.
Did I get everything right? Is it?
I was trying to say that all in one breath, right?
I had to take pauses.
That's all the many hats that I wear here as overall owner of this place, VK Studios, Valley King's Music. Yeah, man.
So I don't know if y'all noticed, we're in a different setup. Today we hit the road with Carlos, and we're at the Valley of the Kings. Give them the address real quick.
9550 Skillman Street, Suite 401. Is it 401? Hold on, let me write. Suite 410. 410.
Okay, and then telephone number if they ever need some work. Studio, quality sound, engineer, master, everything. You do it here, right?
Yeah, just call me at 469-223-1591.
All right.
It's never changed, man.
We're gonna
It stays the same.
Awesome, man. I know we'll get into all that right now, but we're going to go ahead and do a segment that I like to call Preguntas al Chile. Preguntas al Chile. If you have not subscribed to the channel, check out the great graphics Carlos put together for the segment. You need to check them out. You ready?
Dale.
Are you sure? Everybody gets stuck on this segment, man, but I know I got faith in you.
Dale. Do I have a time limit to answer? I got quick fire?
That's quick fire.
Okay.
Tacos o tortas?
Okay. Tortas.
Corn tortillas, flour tortillas.
Corn.
Pupusas gorditas.
Pupusas.
Jarrito, Fanta.
Jarritos.
Agua de horchata, Jamaica, tamarindo.
Horchata.
Salsa verde, salsa gorda.
Verde.
Okay, menudo, pozole.
None.
None? Valentina, cholula, tapatio, tabasco sauce.
Valentina.
Tres leches, cake, or quesadilla, cheesecake.
Quesadilla cheesecake.
Concha, brown ones, the white ones, or the pink ones?
No conchas.
No conchas, you don't like them? Okay. All right, we can slow down now. Whenever you hear, what is a conspiracy theory that you can almost guarantee that it has to be true?
Suge is a very cool person.
I think so.
I've heard that from a lot of circles that Suge is a very cool person.
So you think the narrative around what he is painted by Hollywood or people that don't want to be involved?
More like maybe a history. There's always history in what we do music, and there's two sides of it. There's history of what we do through our musical accomplishments, and then history through the back end of things. And I think through his ruthless business tactics, and I think just his overall just being who he is, his influence that he took.
Yeah.
He took his street influence, took it to a record label area type, arena,
Right.
and made it the norm to be a certain way.
Yeah.
Normalized the culture we kind of, see now that has evolved.
Which was gangster music at that time and embraced more of it.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. Okay. So what comes to mind? What comes to mind first when you hear the word Latino, Latina, or I don't know if you care for the word Latinx?
Labels. It's all just labels.
Okay. And do you mind if anybody calls you Latino? Do you prefer to be called? I know that on your social media, one of us is a human. But do you prefer that over any other additional label that they want to put you on?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a plus that I can, speak another language. Yeah. I will identify myself as what I really am. I am a Latino human. I am a Hispanic human. I'm not going to say, oh, no, I have all this history behind my name and who I am and deny it. But I'm not going to let that limit me on, oh, that's just my category. Categorize me under this. I don't like that. I'm a multi-genre artist. I do rap music. I, do in English and in Spanish. I also do blues, rock music. Yeah. There's a whole spectrum besides the people that I record too. And there's that, point of the whole prism, where the recording and producing of people is different than being an artist also.
Yeah. Do you think being a Latino helps you out with that? Because usually when we grow up, we hear all kinds of different music. We hear whether it be a salsa, merengue, rap, hip hop, and things like that.
I think the things that is just influence. I think it's just really anybody who has influence with music is going to pull from their past.
Gotcha.
So a lot of us, if we don't even realize it, some of the music that we listen to our late middle school to high school years is still a catalog we go back to. We're still going back to that. Yeah. So as you create music, you think on that aspect, am I going to write songs that give that to somebody, to a generation? How can I grow with a generation and make music that's as timeless as what, impacted me? Yeah. So you stop making music as, I'm just writing. You start making music for the feeling.
Yeah. And then some of that music is even recycled and redone, even for our era, that is even older than that.
Wow, but that's a secret that's been done forever with music. The regurgitation, recycling of the earworm.
Yeah.
In order to have, like I said, a generation maybe you haven't connected with. Yeah. That's the way you connect them with. Open up a catalog to people like, oh, hold on. He sampled that song that I played for my graduation back when I was in so-and-so in 1970-something. Let me give this artist, Kendrick, Lamar, a chance. And then boom, you have now your aunt or your mom even listening to something that's on your playlist on Spotify. You're like, wow, okay.
That's good.
We can relate now and bump the same music. That's always really cool when you can do that.
That is cool. Tell me about I never heard that phrase, the earworm thing. Tell me what exactly does that mean? What does that phrase mean?
So you're always going to have certain things like Three Blind Mice is always da, 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 So go and you listen to those things throughout different music, which use the da, 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 and even those little bits, the artist or producer will go and use from different points of your life. Right. So he'll go and hit you from Marietta Little Lamb, even down to a popular theme song that you've been listening to.
Like Old MacDonald and things like that?
Well, like, let's say, being in Dallas, you had those Mattress Giants commercials.
Oh, yeah.
Those, only at Matt. That's an earworm for somebody in Dallas in that point in time that they're going to recognize.
Okay.
So then think about it on a whole national level. And what age group you're hitting, what things were special to them. The Hey Arnold theme song, Different Strokes theme song, just all borrowed from that as a good producer. Borrow from those little things and then hit, the heartstrings of people.
And then that would connect with you because you don't even know why you're liking it, but something sounds familiar to you about that. And that's what draws you to listen to it.
I was listening to a song, I believe, by Nardo Wick, and he's basically doing Tom's Diner. His cadence of rap is exactly, even down to the hook, he doesn't do Tom's Diner. He does his own interpolation of what it should be. But if you know Tom's Diner, you're like, oh man, that's cool. Who's Nardo Wick now?
That's pretty sick. I like that. Okay, so you started, your family is from El Salvador. Is it your family or just your father or your
My mom and my dad.
Both do?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know a little bit of their journey as far as El Salvador? You were born in Boston.
Yeah.
We'll touch up on that in a little bit. But do you know how their journey was as far as getting to the States or getting to Boston?
Yeah. My dad, in his youth and stuff, he liked to, get into trouble, he had a good old time living as every youth in El Salvador.
Absolutely.
But he came to age at a very special time in El Salvador too, when there was a civil war going on.
Yeah.
So a lot of his life, a lot of the people in our family were very prominent military figures that did cool stuff. But when it got to that point, you had a little division of what was the cultural norm and who you could hang out with or what places were you going to. Right. And if you had a family that was very military influenced, you always would question at a time that you had, we're talking about, this is post-Beatniks. My dad was born in 1952, post-Beatniks. You had the Beatles stepping into their evolution stages, and that music influenced what was going on there culturally as well. Yeah. So what was the American influence teaching some of the youth down there to rebel, be the counterculture? Yeah. Well, over there in El Salvador, the counterculture got you shot in the street. Ouch. So my dad was very counterculture. And guess who else was really counterculture? The guerrilleros over there. So the guerrilleros were fighting hippies. And they also had the best stuff. So, getting caught up in that whole situation right there put my dad in a real life journey with, hey, man, your lifestyle that you've picked is now going to dictate your life and death. Yeah. He got arrested with his brother. They whole police chase. They shot up his car. They put his car right there front and center like they used to do back in the day. Like, look who we caught.
Yeah.
And for a long time, for about a total like 15 days or so, my father was taken to police station, was sequestered with his friends, and was put to different torture while he was there. Nobody knew he was even who he was. His family didn't even know he was still alive. When they saw the car, they saw it all shot up. Nobody could have survived that. But him and his brother survived after a high-speed chase that when they wrecked, he said, all the weed we had was all over the place. And we both checked each other out, we're like, we're alive. And
Right.
and then the military was like, yeah, you're alive for now. And, my dad told me a lot of crazy memorable things about just that short 15 days or so of him experiencing things where there was a cliff over there in El Salvador. World famous cliff. I think they threw those nuns off of that cliff back in the day that caused the U.S. to really get in there and check more about why they assassinated Romero and stuff. Yeah. Well, they took my dad and his friend to that exact cliff. And they had them both like, hey, let us tell you a story. And at that same time, while they were about to tell them the story that they usually tell everybody to push them, they get a call through the radio going, hey, they're good. Let's go.
Out. That's crazy.
You get to come to terms with your mortality right there. Yeah. And then right there, it's gone like, no, let's go. How much shock are you going to get to that,
So after that incident and those 15 days, that's when he started to need to get out here?
Everybody after that incident, everybody told him, hey, it's time for you to just find a way out. So he himself and his brother slowly found a way out where they went from El Salvador up to Mexico. And then from Mexico was able to reunite with some of the family. At that point in time, our family had divided up to California, Miami, and they figured out a way to meet up. When they met up in the United States, they, found different, they were in Miami where they all met up. Then from Miami, they went to the West Coast. Yeah. Then from the West Coast, they ended up in the East Coast. And that's kind of, where I came into the picture in the whole story once they moved to the East Coast.
And for El Salvador, somebody that's coming from El Salvador, they usually seek some kind of asylum, or is it they're crossing legally?
Nah, he went straight just immigrating. He couldn't seek no asylum. It wasn't so, you didn't want to tell people you were caught up in political trouble back then. The war that they were fighting wasn't a very popular war. He didn't want to seem like a communist or seem like anything that would jeopardize his to be allowed in there.
Right.
So he did what he could, and he managed to get to the United States. Got my mother there, I have an older sister. She was born in the West Coast and stuff like that. And from there, they tried to see what worked for them. They lived in MacArthur Park. That whole area over there were part of that whole experience with the Chicanos and the Salvadorians mixing around in that area. And then after that, they kind of my mom got into technology. And that's where kind of the story stopped being about two immigrants trying to evolve and how do we do odd jobs? The odd jobs that all our parents eventually did when they first came in here.
Oh, yeah.
Anything,
really.
But then at one point in time in the dynamic, my mother said, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. I'm going to study computers. I'm going to study computer science and learn that.
Yeah.
And,
that's dope.
That's when she decided to take our family in a whole different direction and helped us get to where particularly we were at. From that point where I was born in Boston, she was part of the computer science program in Tufts University.
Yeah.
Was one of the first people to experience having a personal computer.
That's badass.
So I've always had her hand-me-downs on computers and stuff, and always known how to use that stuff and be technology savvy. So even at an early age, I was still trying to figure out, like, hey, what is this? What is this here? Always curious. What are you doing at work, Mom? And she would show me, and I wouldn't understand until, eventually I had that computer, that device, and I broke a whole bunch of them.
Hey, you got to learn somehow, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's dope. So how do you feel about what El Salvador? I don't know if you ever gone back or been visited El Salvador, but Bukele is like, I don't know if he's a newer president. I think he is a newer president, and he's doing a lot of changes over there. Do you care for any of that? Do you go and check the news to see what's going on? I don't know if you
I think it's pretty cool what Bukele is doing in a sense where El Salvador hasn't had really, really different reformation. This is the country that's post-Civil War in a sense, and now the generation that's coming to power is a generation that wants progressive change. They don't want the same. Yeah. And Bukele is a representation of that. And ever since he went into power, he had a lot of the older politicians and even the defining institutions there to really criticize why are you here? But I mean, he's done stuff like created Bitcoin to be some of the national currency. Yes, Bitcoin is a currency that, not even a currency, it's a very fluctuating, unstable type of market, but it's a market. It's there. People are investing. They're investing in a lot of things. People can put money into it and then walk out with a house, walk in with Lambos, walk in with generational wealth, even in essence. It's almost the same thing when Wall Street became open and selling penny stocks. Yes, you had a bunch of people, even like the Wolf of Wall Street dude, embezzling that and making investing a bad thing. Bernie Madoff made off with half of America's money.
That guy.
So now we're entering so what he did, a Ponzi scheme, is what, in essence, what some of these cryptos and NFT type things are. But yes, you use them for evil, you're going to be evil. But there's also a whole brand new other landscape, the technology behind it, the blockchain behind it. That whole blockchain technology can be so useful to us, not just for crypto technology, by the way we store things, transport things, information. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with just that blockchain technology, even for, like I said, any medium, entertainment, music. You can just change the whole way that you store your music, keep track of your music, and not having any third party really keeping an extra eye on your thing.
Not to mention, even if you wanted to do a big transfer, the banks are ridiculous when it comes to doing transfer. It takes forever in a day, and then they tie on fees. But if I'm not mistaken, the reason why he did or allowed Bitcoins because their currency was like bad. Like their currency was not really nothing that was worth like using or even, have it in a country. So that's the reason why he opened up something that, people can actually buy stuff and
but by introducing the Bitcoin, what did you do also? You opened up their market, which what they needed, the economy to boost, and they opened up their market to what I call the crypto consumer. The crypto consumer doesn't spend money like you and I. And they have to realize, how are we going to make our little poor country full of crypto consumers? Well, they didn't really have to worry because they already had one of the most prominent things going on in their country that Bukele did capitalize on, their beaches. He made sure that El Salvador had one of the best surfing scenes known to man. So what are you going to attract naturally when you have the best surfing scenes? Tourism. And then you're going to attract young tourism. And what does young tourism have? Crypto.
Or some type of crypto.
And if you don't have a place for them to spend it, especially like El Salvador, they're not going to come back. So what did he say? Oh, no, we're not letting this money get away from us. We're going to invest in that and have the crypto consumer have a haven here because they don't allow it. What is it? Bitcoin and most cryptocurrencies are not allowed in China. Because it's manipulation in a way of their economy or getting into what they already have.
Because they're tapping into something that they can't control. The common people do it.
But China's going to go ahead and have one of their citizens be the one who holds the main backing of crypto. So it's kind of like double-edged sword they like to play with, hypocritical.
See, the thing is that we already, whether we want or not, things are already crypto. I don't have any cash in me. I have my card, and that's zeros and ones. Like, that's all it is. It's not anything that that's all it is anyways already, but it's just a different way that you don't have to worry about a central bank and that controls that, and you are able to let the people use their money the way it's supposed to be used instead of having somebody that dictates it.
The concept of a cashless society. They promoted that. I remember being in them talented and gifted classes back in the day, and one of those things is like, explain how a paperless society would work. I'm right now thinking, damn, what were we talking about?
I know.
We were talking about what's happening now. We didn't realize the value of an app. I remember telling a lot of my friends and some of these, my clients saying that, hey, man, we're not going to consume television in a regular fashion. We're going to consume television in an app. Our channels aren't going to be channels anymore.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, they're like, what? Yeah, there's going to be a homepage, and we're going to download apps that these stations want us to download. Because what? We're going to pay for their premium service. Download the app for free and pay for the premium. We already get duped into that. And at that time, it was like Candy Crush. So you had all these mediocre computer games getting you hooked with a pay-to-play system.
Right.
And then all these, I see broadcasters.
Paywalls after paywalls after that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the good old days where I was thinking the other day, the good old days where everything was free on the internet. Now, anything that you're trying to get is a free for a couple of days. And there's the paywall or whatever you wanted for their premium services. Everything, bro. And it used to be like everything was free. Like you can get all kinds of things that are for free. You can, but it's a whole lot more challenging now than it used to be back in the days when everything was just like,
you might as well just get the subscription for that free week and get your work out of your way. If you get money from using the free thing, then get the subscription. It's worth it in the end, instead of trying to find a pirated program that before you get a program that's only updated maybe once or twice a year. You're waiting for the next year to come out. Now these programs get updated monthly, weekly. Every something happens. And you might as well do the whole actual subscription and be like, I'm going to just whatever. And if it doesn't, you don't want to cancel it, cancel it.
Cancel it. It's so easy to cancel too, as long as you remember to cancel it. And then also that if you try to get the pirated thing, nowadays there's so many freaking easy viruses and Trojan horse and all kinds of stuff that you can get. Might as well just be secure with things that they provide you, which is if that's what you're doing and you need it for your means, you're gonna have to invest in that part. Okay, what do you think about the criticism that Bukele has as far as countries were saying that he was violating human rights and different things like that? I don't know if you heard anything like that.
I'm not about the violation of human rights at all. I'm not about individuals, human beings getting hurt in that form. But you have a country to run,
right?
You're not going to let your country be overrun. You're not going to let your country be notoriously known for being a haven for criminals,
right?
Especially when you're trying to attract tourists. It doesn't Thailand isn't a great tourist attraction because it's rampant in violence. No, it's king makes sure that place is run as tight as it can be, So it's the same thing that you have with a dude like Bukele. He has to be like, what am I going to be to these people? Am I going to be saying what I preach? Am I going to reform? Am I going to clean? Am I going to maybe do a soft genocide on most of these criminal entities here? Or am I just going to be another person that talks, gets elected, becomes a puppet figure, and moves on? Because feels like what El Salvador had for a long time is those type of things. You have dudes from partidos like the FMNL, L, that they were big revolutionary, trying to be progressive, trying to change El Salvador. And then once they get their individual elected, it's more of the same, more of the corruption, more of the, oh my God, I thought this is what we fought so much to get here. Oh yeah, we fought at some point in time. We were about that, but this is what happens.
Yeah.
Just like yuppies. They used to be cool ass hippies, but then they got poor and they have to join the workforce and they still want to be cool grown parents and stuff, but they're yuppies, man. They forgot where they really came from in the end,
Yeah, I see those people in those countries that try to criticize him for those things don't have to live there with the people that were committing crimes and murdering people. These people were murdering people, and it's easy to say from the outside looking in about how your country is nice and safe and anything and try to criticize that country, but you're not having to bury your relatives. You're not having to, and those people are doing that and terrorizing those people within the community.
Yeah.
How do you and then at the end of the day, I'm not much of a petty person for somebody that's a criminal. How do you think you keep criminals going back? You give them a comfortable place for them to go back. It's easier for them to go back. But if it's challenging, they'll probably think twice before they do a crime again because they know how hard it's going to be. Also, and hopefully you can reform them at that time.
But also think about the time that El Salvador's crime was very rampant. What kind of policy did we have here to send that? Like he said, we're not sending there. Well, no. They basically had a policy that, if you're a criminal MS-13 gang member, we don't want you here. You're immediately deported back home. So you brought that same story that you hear where people who have been born in El Salvador, but they never spend really more than a month or so of their life there, went to the United States, are Americanized, and they're deported, going back to El Salvador with the culture they're at now, introducing to now Salvadorian culture, especially crime culture, how it gets down here in the United States. And some of these people that deport as well are ex-vets. So now you're sending militarized criminals to go into a country and call it their own. I mean, it's not different as recruiting the same thing that a terrorist organization does.
Yeah.
Just, different rock, different crack.
That's true. That's crazy, bro. And did your dad share all those stories with you as far as what you went through?
My dad, he shared me the stories where, he was pretty young when he went through those things. He was, I can believe, man, maybe like 17, 18 when he went through a lot of that trauma, and then he left to the United States at a young age. When he went back to El Salvador, and I went back when I was, I believe I was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
He hadn't been back in like 20 years.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I knew how important was the moment in time that he lived in, because I'm chilling out of nowhere. This is like day 5 of already El Salvador, being there for a whole 2 weeks. And I'm eating, outside seafood with my dad and my mom. And out of nowhere comes this dude, long white hair, and salutes. And my dad just looks at him, and he just tells my dad his name, salutes him, says this whole whatever spiel, and they shake hands, and they talk for a while. Then he introduces himself to us, and they shake hands, and they part ways. And I'm like, my dad's like, yeah, that guy was a crazy guy when I was over here. You don't understand what we did. And then he shares stories opening up about how the gorillas or whoever he dealt with at the time, how cool and close they were, that they loved him and respect him to the point where like a dude out of nowhere came and saluted him
Years
after
later.
not seeing him for 20 years, but knowing he could shake that and just see him and be like, hey, what's up, man? And that just showed me how it's different, the times that are those, those people live. The people especially that have been through a civil war, when your father can tell you, yeah, my best friend, because he got arrested one day, we were chilling with him, and the next day we walked by, his head was on a stick.
Ouch.
And we're literally chilling and walking every day as his head's rotting.
But that's crazy because it sounds bad and it's traumatic, but it was real life.
Everyday life.
For them.
It's everyday life. And the sad thing, it's everyday life for a lot of countries, and it's still everyday life for a lot of countries. I mean, Ukraine, I got a friend of mine that's out there in Russia, and he gets the news the way the Russians want you to consume it. And they're not going to censor it. And the one thing that's going on over there is the same, just government's playing with people.
Yeah. True that.
That's all we are, just playing with us. How much of us can we throw to the fire until the other team says we're tired?
Yeah, that's true.
Battle fatigue, man.
So you were born in Boston, but you moved around a few times. You went even to Puerto Rico for a while, and if I'm not mistaken, also Colorado, right?
Yeah.
You've been all over the place.
I like to travel.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I was born in Boston. That was fun. It was cold.
How do you feel?
It was cold.
Patriots fan or no? Oh, you don't really care.
Man, I like the Celtics.
Like the Celtics. Celtics got you.
It was cool. I never New England type thing. I wasn't about sharing.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, yeah, New England. I mean, you're from Connecticut.
That's hilarious.
The stadiums in our state, like, nah, it's our. We're sharing. Okay, cool.
It's freaking cold over there.
Yeah, it's cold.
It's super cold.
I remember when I was little, we were there during one of the craziest blizzards over there.
Kind of like the one that just happened in Buffalo, or worse.
Yeah, kind of around, maybe different because, the world's going to shit environmentally now.
Yeah.
But back then, it was that bad, that had a lot of snow, once in a lifetime type of snowstorm.
Yeah.
So I do remember that vaguely.
How many feet do you say?
Man, I was a small child, so I do remember them opening the door, and that, last time I saw snow like that was when I moved to Colorado. And people told me that was normal in Colorado. So I'm like, okay, I bet. It's time to shovel snow, I guess.
See, here in Dallas, we might get like maybe not even a foot, but over there upstate, freaking 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet of snow. Like that's like
nothing. And it's okay because like they have the streets are equipped, the public
they ready
service, they're ready for all that stuff. While over here, we're used to just easy breezy summer weather. The minute we get a foot or something,
everything.
They're like, oh crap, not enough salt over here. We weren't ready. Tell us we weren't ready.
No, she wasn't ready.
They got plow trucks over there.
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
You got people putting chains on tires. You give chains to one of us. People here like, what is this?
The heck
what is happening here? Is this the end of the world?
What am I gonna pull with? No, you put it in your tire. All right. So when did your musical journey begin? I know that even 10 years ago you were doing music. When did you start it?
Man, I've been doing music professionally about 20 years now.
20 years?
So since I was like 19.
Yeah.
I caught the bug listening to it when I was in my teens, and listening to cool stuff. But hip hop music started speaking to me in a professional manner, and then also in a wanting to learn more.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is music, a cultural movement that's happening in my time. I'm part of it. Just like my parents were part of the evolution of rock music and the whole, whatever that ended up being. So I'm like, hey, I'm at the beginning of this thing. I'm interested. I want to know more. And as a fan, I got deep into the things I liked. Wanted to know where songs were recorded, who did the songs. I always wanted to read the credits. Big fan of just cover art, credits, wanting to know who did what these names meant. And then once I actually started becoming more conscious of what all this was, I wanted to know, how do I become a name here? How do I become a name back here? What is all this that's being done? And then I caught the bug from going also to people's houses, seeing their house setups, their garage setups, their home setups, asking them, hey, you need anybody to set up your microphones? You need anybody to set up whatever? Let me, I'm here, I'm game, I'm cool. Yeah. And then from then it was like, I'm here. You feel that. You feel when you've set up something and somebody's performing on, it could be the smallest thing as pushing a fader or the smallest thing on the whole microphone, how it sounds. And that dude goes, man, this is the best I've sound on stage. And you're like, yeah.
That's you. So easy.
And you don't need a self-recognition. You don't need the attaboy. It's more like, hey man, I improved, which like, oh, I've never sound so good. Yes, I improved your mentality now this particular stage. Because in the end, that's what you want to do. You want your engineer to want the talent to come back to that stage. You want him to have the best experience, to be like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here tomorrow. This facility is so great, I'm gonna give you an encore or whatever. That's a win-win for everybody. You got an extra night of a job. The venue tries to scramble to facilitate, but at least your skill caused that to happen. It's very rare that people even understand the journey that it takes to, I guess, push one damn fader. Even performing, and you grab your microphone and you see that whole front row, which is the only thing you can see because of all the lights. And you see that whole front row actually talking back to you in either body language or talking back to you as in reciting your songs or talking back to you as in walking away and not liking your music,
Yeah.
That was more the feeling I liked about music instead of creating. And then when you step in, create, that's a whole nother world. You're cooking now with sounds. You're creating, audio alchemy in essence. You're picking from frequencies, adjusting frequencies, taking now from nostalgic moments, earworms, and making all that combined with science and math to make the next hit that plays over and over in people's heads so they can now carry that amalgamation of things you made to be so, oh, I love this. Esto mío. I'm fucking gonna carry it for the rest of my life type shit, Yeah. So that's all in the end a good producer wants to do. Music that's gonna make you feel. And then you get a producer, two spectrums. You get a producer that makes you want to feel, and then you get a producer that makes you want to spend.
Yeah.
There's two, like then the spend ones are like, damn, his track record of success in the marketplace is the type of success I want to now be attached to. Versus one is like, hey, I want to attach to this guy because his feeling of music is oh my, I'm never gonna make another song with that much importance again. I want your important tracks. I don't want the filler tracks, And that's why it's a struggle sometimes finding a hit, because sometimes that important track isn't important to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's true. And then that happens a lot with different songs like Ice Ice Baby. That wasn't even supposed to be a hit. Even Vanilla Ice didn't even like that track. It was on like a B-side. And then one of the jocks, the DJ, found it and spin it, and people just freaking loved it. So he didn't even like that song.
So there's a story behind that whole creation. I owned the studio before this one. Was the studio where Ice Ice Baby was recorded and created on. And then I met one of my clients at the when I was there, and said, when his father came to pick him up, he goes, do you know that I was one of the people that helped that whole studio session moment? And broke us down a little history of how it was. And yeah, he wasn't very excited about the track and stuff, but again, that energy, the moment, the minute he played it, they were looping whatever the back and forth, Yeah. And then they were like, bro, just, and then the minute he hits that first, and that's what everybody knew when he hit that first line. Maybe he didn't see it, but that magic just was created. You're right there. And I guess that's when they knew they had a hit in their hand. Those moments right there, man. You gotta, me personally, as a music historian buff type person, like, study those moments. Because as a producer, those are going to be always in your bag. How can you create an Ice Ice Baby moment when the talent itself hates what they're hearing?
Yeah.
But you guys got to sit there and cook.
Because usually sometimes that's not how it happens with the artists. There's a few that do like say, yeah, I know this is going to be a hit. But some of them are like, I didn't even like the track. But then they just...
Sometimes you got to do something that's really scary in the music industry.
Yeah.
Trust your producer. Trust your producer. Trust your engineer and your producer. Those two guys are not against you. They're on your side. And just, if he says it's not a go, have trust that you came to him for that opinion. And if you're always fighting with your engineer and producer, maybe you don't need one.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't need one. All you need is someone to press the buttons, press the faders, and you direct them because they're so efficient with the program. Great. That's a big difference. That's an engineer. That's an audio engineer. That's an audiophile. That's a dude that sits there and wants to sweep frequencies all day. Yeah. Versus a producer engineer, I need that feeling. If we're not feeling it today, session's over. Session's over. You guys regroup. Yes, I know it's a waste of money, and sometimes if the studio is yours, you're gonna eat it because if it doesn't feel right, why force it?
Yeah.
And I've been in sessions where it doesn't feel right. I've done my part of sessions where you're like, crap. And the hardest part, and I don't know if every engineer does this, but the hardest part for me is to stop a session and be like, hey, guy, what are we doing? In a real conversation, come in here. What are we doing? Because we've been half of the session on a hook. You're not hitting tones. When I try to describe to you progress, you don't know progress. You think I'm insulted. We're not meeting a chemistry here.
Yeah.
So it's either I'm not the right person for you to work with, or maybe this industry isn't the right path for you. I ask hard questions like, what's going on at home? You have a child. How much of the budget at home goes to making music? Do you really have the time to invest in yourself? Because it's going to take this much. Because when I'm seeing you come to the studio in the last 3 months and you're spending this much, is that really a budget? Are you a hobbyist musician? Because if you're a hobbyist musician, I'm going to back off and we're going to have the best time of our lives here and really dig into music because you want to. But if you're a commercial musician or a musician really trying to make an impact, you're going to analyze every bit, nook and cranny. You're going to go through every trial and error moment. You're going to really sit there and try to get the best product because you're only going to live through those moments and feelings at one time.
But you do have to have those conversations to know exactly. And that's crazy that I don't even know how your sessions went, but it is important to know, like, what is your direction with this? What do you want to do with it? What do you want to come out with it?
Yeah.
Understand that if you're going to be something like this, you're going to have a budget. You're going to have to have the funds needed.
Yeah.
Like, you're not recording as fast as we wanted to, so it's going to take a little more time to get it right. So if your budget's good with it, and then you don't mind, so we can get it right, and for what you're looking for to put it out to the masses, and we can do that. But if you're, have a couple of babies in the house, you barely scraping by, really or not, you haven't gotten the motion of recording and know what it feels like and spitting them out, then it's going to take you longer, so it's going to cost you more.
Invest at the home studio and then bring me back your mixes. I ain't tripping with that. And sometimes some of the best, like I said, feeling. It's about feeling to create music for me. If you're in my studio and you're spending that premium price and you're not getting that same feeling you're getting at your house from a setup that you like to record, but the only thing you need is someone to make it sound right, I mean, let's do that instead. Let me get because I get mad when my clients play me the demo, and when they come here to cut it again, I'm like, come on, guy, where's that energy? Where's that energy? And then sometimes also, double-edged sword on the whole thing. The artist might record a version that they love, but they've been listening to it before use for so long, and they're proud of their baby. I mean, they're proud of it, and then they bring it to me, and I hear potential. I hear like, oh my God, yeah, this is nice, but let's try adding a couple more layers on this part. Let's re-record the first verse because it needs clarity. And I think this word here you can take out to make it like, oh, really modern, really, really now. Key words like that to tell the artist like where you can construct your criticism per se. And they get a thing called demoitis. And they don't want to hear those things. They're like, nah, Bill, that's too much. You're adding too much to my track. You're putting too much. So that's where the producer, not engineer, producer-artist relationship has to step in there. How are we going to make this a collaborative process so it's still your song? Because again, not everything I say is right. I'm just a really professional, educated opinion. Because in the end, if you tell me, no, I like the way I originally dropped it, work with that, Bill, man, then I'm going to have to do my job, which is, I'm going to work with it. Because in the end,
let them know, like, hey, I respect it. Is this what you want? It's just my humble opinion on it based on what I studied, but that's what you want. Don't come back at me that you didn't go your way. Because I told you.
Oh yeah. Some clients are like, hey man, so did you like it? And I go, yeah, I loved it. Except the part where you told me to keep this, and you're like, shut up, Bill.
But you went to school for this. Like, you went to school to study for. First of all, let's talk about your name. How did your name came about?
Billy Syn?
Yeah.
But
It used to be different people with the Syn. I don't know if it was a different crew, right? Like
yeah, it was all. I had a back in my youth. I had a party crew called the Syndicate. And we just partied. You know, that was what we call each other. We like to just get together. All of us were from different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
So we figured, hey, let's just create this whole little party syndicate that we do. And the name stuck. We all grew out of it, and some people stayed. It's still in doing business with me. We just decided to all apply the same last name moniker. And we all carried it. We did music. We did business, you know, like the ASAP mob and stuff like that.
Yeah, ASAP.
So before they were doing that, we were walking around doing, you know, Mario Syn, different people like that. And, you know, then eventually when I got into being an artist, you know, I just, that was me. I've already been in this whole lifestyle I created, this whole syndicate lifestyle which involves being a musician 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, the minute this camera turns off, you're still going to talk to the same person. You know, I'm still going to be a multifaceted artist. I'm still going to be multi-genre. I'm still going to take you from anywhere here in the city. I'll take you, and you'll be like, really? You can hang out here too? And like, I can hang out anywhere here because I love the city for its culture.
Yeah.
You know, there was a point in time, like you said, I went to Colorado and stuff, and I was trying to find an identity where I was fatigued with the music in the city. Mm-hmm. I was fatigued being part of it too. It's kind of taxing when you like a certain sound, and a certain sound you're trying to evolve doesn't come out. I mean, imagine if the Motown sound didn't come out of Motown when it needed.
Thank you very much for checking out this episode. Make sure you hit the subscribe notification bell. And now back to the podcast.
You know, and it wasn't forced. And that's what I always wanted. I wanted to create my sound, my palette, the way I hear things to come out, you know, but also you can't force that. It has to come out.
You want it to be the Dallas sound?
No,
not necessarily.
Not Dallas sound. Again, I don't like the labels of like, this is mine, this is that. I just wanted it to be home to the people that really couldn't find a home. I went to every studio in Dallas to record at some point in time. I spent good money, and I never felt like I was home. The only place I felt like I was home is when I was home.
Gosh.
And then when I got out of the house, nothing felt like home unless I was touching those faders. Mm-hmm. Nothing felt like home unless I sat there for 8 hours straight, 12 hours straight. And then even going back home and not having my setup like I used to, I was like, this isn't home. This isn't home, man. I got to wake up and do regular, you know, wake up, you do what you do in the morning, and then you go to the car to drive to the studio. When before it was like, wake up, go to the board, keep it going, rinse and repeat, you know. That's the only way you're going to do what you love, you know.
That's crazy. So where did you decide to go with Billy, the actual name Billy?
My real name is Guillermo.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I hated going through life with people not knowing how to pronounce
it, yeah.
I hate repeating myself. So I you know, my dad is a Guillermo also. So whenever he tells me, he's like, hey, when I'm around, you know, some friends, I'm Guillermo. When I'm around other people, they like to call me Bill or William. And so Guillermo, Billy, all that, since I was born, it was always a moniker.
Like a play on William.
Guillermo,
Billy.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You know, the Americanization of it.
The Americanization of Guillermo will be the equivalent now Billy.
Yeah. You know, or Memo type thing, you know. Yeah. And I didn't like being called.
Well, it would be more like a Latino Mexican type of, because most of the Guillermo Memos, that's what we know.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., it could be Billy.
Right. And then when you go to Puerto Rico, I remember in Puerto Rico, at a point in time, I didn't really like being called Billy. You know, I like being called whenever they say Guille. Ahí está Guille. You know, I like how they called my dad that. So I was like, man, I kind of like that. That's kind of cool, you know.
How long did you live in Puerto Rico?
I lived there when I was till, 6 years old till a little bit, almost 10 there. I went there. I survived Hurricane Hugo through there. Damn, a lot of cool stuff. I saw Puerto Rico go through a lot of nice late 80s, early 90s change. It was very special seeing people all over the island. They're not from Chicago, but they're wearing Jordan all over. I mean, the Puerto Ricans wearing Jordan all over the place, watching Michael Jordan shows, it being a big thing. And you saw how much American influence, even down like premieres of The Simpsons and stuff like that, when The Simpsons was over there and people could get it for the first time on cable and satellite. It was a huge thing. Michael Jackson, all these pop culture huge things were magnified by 1,000 in Puerto Rico, just how they embraced, you know, just American culture and pop culture at that time.
Yeah.
at that time. Yeah.
That's true because people forget that Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. It might be a territory, but it's still the people there are American citizens.
Yeah.
They're not. They don't have to renew residency. They don't have to nothing. They're like there, and there's a lot of them in New York, Florida, all that area, the East Coast, and it's just Chicago. I got a large community of Puerto Ricans. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of like the beaches and stuff?
I remember all of it.
Yeah?
I remember all of it.
Yeah.
The beaches, the festivals. There was a festival that I love called the Octavitas. That they can. The one thing that stood out that over there they make these masks out of coconut shells. These crazy, cool, elaborate masks out of coconut husk shells, and there's some can be creepy, some can be really cool and ornate. So I really like the festivals that they just came with their cool ass costumes, traditional San Juan downtown vibe. You're like, wow, this is almost like Mardi Gras type feeling, I imagine now it's a whole big old thing, but seeing that was really cool. The food is one of the best things over there. I bet you it still is, the street food, even down to the vendors selling you coquitos on the side of the street, and then merengues, and then even going down to certain areas where a dude is selling a jug where you think like, why is he selling a jug of dirty water? And then you go and no, it's guarapo. You're like, oh man, this is sugar cane juice, and then different juice, like different culture, just vibe, man. You get it in certain parts of the United States. When you go to old America, when you go to old neighborhoods that haven't been, that been around for over 100 years, stuff you get in the East Coast, maybe West Coast vibes, but nothing you get in like these new little neighborhoods that pop up that only have like 15-year history. I mean, you don't get that vibe. But when you go and you get to where places have had the same families set up on that block for generations, oh my God, it's like, it's cool. I like that. Like I said, I'm a history buff. I like that.
I should have added the some of the Puerto Rican cuisine on the Preguntas al Chile. That was
man.
I have a couple of them that I could ask, but that's pretty cool. Okay, so you actually went to Media Tech in Dallas and Sound Lab to study for music?
I went to when it was called the Dallas Sound Lab at first, and then I went again, just back to back when it changed to the whole Media Tech format. When I went for the Dallas Sound Lab, though, it was really cool because you had access to teachers that I don't know if you still have access to them, but the best way that I ever learned in that school was coming up to a teacher or even an assistant and be like, hey, what are you doing after class? Or how do you, really get in that information that you're not going to get in those hours that you really paid for? That was one thing I did learn about Media Tech in Dallas, the whole Dallas Sound Lab scene was make friends, know people, even if they come in at different times that you come in. Yeah. Create a community, learn how to build a community at a very early point in your career, because that's what, after you leave here, that's what you're jumping into, a community. And if you don't know how to be a cog or be a part of it or learn commerce within it, you're just going to be another guy being like, give me my place, give me my entitled turn. I deserve to be here. Dallas got next or I got next. 23 is all me type vibes, which is really detrimental to a brand. When you come in with too much competition, too much competitive edge, you also stymie it from people wanting to grow with you. So I'm like, oh, that person's only going to be around till, he consumes himself.
Yeah. And it is only beneficial because like things that you might have missed in the class or conversations that you didn't get to have, they might have had. So you could tap into what they know and help each other out too. Hey, I'm trying to get this out, but I can't get it. Do you remember? Oh, yeah. This is how you do it. Oh, okay. I can do that.
Exactly.
That's pretty dope. So, yeah, that's pretty cool that you learned that lesson, because I don't know how much you tap into the people that you went to school with or still keep in touch with them, but I'm pretty sure they help you grow to get everything started.
Oh, definitely. Everybody that I went to school with, I still know a couple of cats that I've met that do different things in the industry, and then I know some people that I met by going there that they just walked in through my session like, hey, what's up? How you doing? We heard you were making cool-ass music. Yeah. My friend XCL, he does, he's based out of Fort Worth, originally from New York, and he does all these cool tutorials now. He's like the tutorial king on doing different cakewalk, Fruity Loops, and production software, DAWs. Yeah. And he puts them all on the internet. So that's a dude that was at a very early point in my whole conception of this idea called Valley of the Kings, walking in through the door and just vibing with me and being like, this is cool. I was like over 20 years ago,
That's crazy. But that's pretty cool that he's putting that out there, because Man, YouTube is a whole university, a whole freaking universe of different things that you can learn and like tap into to expand and teach people about the things that you learn.
It's also a great way for a person who creates content. Even if you're a music producer, you create content. It's a great way to give your product different legs. Now that they like to tell a lot of producers now is like, make sure your song has different ways for it to make income, as in getting it placed in movies, as in creating instrumental albums that you can register in digital distributors, that every play now goes into your pocket. And rather than wasting a whole library, I've met producers who sit there and make libraries after libraries after libraries, where it's great, it's efficient. When you go to different labels, they want to hear that. But also, it's great not putting those songs out to a point where everybody can be to the highest bidder, and just put them in a place where people can stream them and see how that can build for you. If these beats aren't going to have a home and they're stuck in a graveyard, go find a different way for them to still move. Have friends that are content creators, that be like, hey, do you need a theme song? Hey, do you need an interlude song? Because every time it gets played in your stream, it goes straight back to money going into whichever PRO I've registered this particular, song under.
Yeah. Okay. Like explain to that PRO. What exactly does it mean? Well, how much is it important for you to take the right steps for you to get the most out of a song, whether it be just a beat or a song? Can you walk us through? Because I don't know if maybe people or artists that are coming up realize what it really takes and the steps necessary to make sure that those little plays here and there benefit you and you get the most out of your money.
First off, if you're going to even invest in the music industry, learn how to network, shake hands, show up to places. Don't give yourself the idea that this is, I'm just brown-nosing, I'm just ass-kissing. That you already lost right there. You have to interact. You cannot be a hermit. You cannot be a digital hermit and be like, oh, I only use Facebook, to express yourself, like a Dear Diary moment? No,
Facebook is not a diary.
Then the people will tell you that. But then if it is a diary, then how can you use that persona that you're being so vocal about and monetize it? If you're going to bitch every day, make your bitching a little bit more specific. Bitch about the brand. So then, you can have people constantly populate your comments and have something to be relevant about your bitching, rather than you being another person saying, I hate Mondays. Why? What particular event about that Monday, about the that do you hate?
You got to go back to work.
Oh yeah. So when we're talking about the creation of a song, you want to make sure that is the most important thing you got. You have others that are going to listen to it and give it the feedback it needs.
Gotcha.
Then go to the lab and create. Once you've gotten that out of your head and the budgeting out of your head, go and create. When you're stuck there creating, make sure you have the right people in the room and don't have the wrong people in the room. Sometimes the wrong energy, hey, I'm just going to be in here doing one thing and I'm just going to tell you, add the triangle. It's very important to see who's in the room because you're sharing now the points within the creation of this great song. And even the one dude who's back there rolling your blunts or going down to the liquor store or whatever, you're going to need to give him his credit. We're all in here together. So if you're not going to give any credit where it's due when you're making this serious, because you get caught up in situations too where you get a lot of people who create, and there's no paperwork being exchanged. Be smart about that. I mean, yeah, you can be there and create, but sometimes some people are hermits with their music. It never goes anywhere. It gets stuck in that drive. So make sure that also the person you're creating with isn't a audio hermit, or isn't somebody who just wants to take and just keep it for themselves. Why am I going to give my input in this room if that one dude in there isn't going to make the world hear this thing? And why do I want to even ask for credit in a thing that's going to go back in 12 volts? And that's sometimes when I walk into a room, I'm like, let's worry about it till we get to the stage where you actually have money to put it out there. And then I'm going to be like, come on, let's worry about what we need to worry about. And yes, it is kind of double-edged sword. Again, I love to say that because this is what this industry is. It tells you rules that you should follow. But when you get there in the real world, oh man, everybody wants you to bend. Everybody wants you, oh no, not right now. I don't want to sign this right now. No, let's do it on this day. How are you you can't just always shut people down too. You can't be, no, we're going to do it my way. You got to work with what the industry gives you and be smart also about the people you want to work with. Yeah. After you got the team, then you get to making the product right. Now you're vibing with the producer. You're vibing with the musicians in there. You're creating now the sound palette of creating a song. What are we doing? Are we doing R&B? Are we doing dramatic music? Are we doing a sad song? But what is this whole beat selection that we have talking to us? What are we going to write this song about? Once we're in there, we're in the groove. We love what we've created. We're going back and forth on the product. Now we're going to wonder, what's the next step? At that point in time, between you and the artist, be like, what are we doing next? How is the marketing after the creation process? How is then the mixing? When we mix it, are there going to be certain elements that we want to put into it versus the the recording? Because, sometimes the artist will go in there and record it without auto-tune. Sometimes they'll go in there and want certain parts to be distorted, certain parts to have a filter on it. And that all is post. Maybe I'll do a little sample of it while we're recording so you, the artist, can catch a vibe of how it's going to sound. But the final, we're going to do it in post, and we need to think about that. Does the track even call for these extra overproduction techniques that we're doing? Or just putting too much on top of it? Once that's all done, I go back to the marketing. What are we going to do to create all these people that we've given a song to listen to it? What's going to be so awesome about my product that I put in an oversaturated market full of everybody holding their product out? Like, listen to me. How are you going to get, okay, what's then your listen to me thing?
It's going to make you stand out from everybody else.
So most studios don't even want to deal with you at that moment. Most studios are like, hey man, have a check, you figure it out.
Peace out.
I don't like that. I kind of want to know where these things are going, and I don't want them to go in a conventional manner. So if people want to release music on their distribution or go to a distributor and go the simple route to having press, people that control your press, people that control your image, and that shebang of the team, cool. But then there's also other aspects where you can be your own manager in a way, control your own image, see how you can manage your brand different than hiring a PR person. There's this
it all can be in social media, like an email to somebody for you to be booked, but you still the one running it. Like, you can create the narrative of how you want it to.
Or maybe you don't have to go and book yourself the traditional ways and go find a open space like a Metaverse stage and find a way for you to, as a artist, promote your music there. That's free. Those stages are free. You can literally go into a world, and if you advertise your appearance in that world the same way you advertise the way you push your single, how are you not going to generate traffic? Right. So those are the things that I like to, once we have a hit, how are we going to get people to consume this hit? How is music even being consumed these days? The average music that we listen to comes out of where now?
TikTok.
Boom. So
15 seconds, 30 seconds.
So what can I do now to make my song? Because nobody's listening to the whole song unless it's being played in the club by the DJ or the radio station through its marketing that it usually does. So with the TikTok song, a lot of artists come up with dances, challenges, and one little technique is what they do is like add this song to the last photo on your album and watch it certain effect. So they give you suggestive things of how you can help me go viral, and I can help your little moment in time go viral too. Let's work together. These are new marketing techniques that the average dude writing a song isn't even thinking about that shit. But when you're in here, at least with a good creative brain trust of people in the room, you guys, there's already somebody in the room thinking 5 steps ahead in the social networking, what this would be awesome as, there's always one person in the room going, man, I already got to dance to that. Gotcha. Okay, that guy's in charge of figuring out how to make this, choreograph it. And then once you choreograph it, let's figure out how to get the influencers. Again, we used to have to go pay promoters and DJs to make us awesome and cool. Now we got to pay influencers, social media content creators, because also we want our songs to have other legs. If it's not going to make it on the radio, at least I know this influencer who shared it so many times on his thing is making it still work for me better than getting some plays.
Yeah, because you're still going to recoup yours on the back. You'll still see those numbers for you.
But again, not every artist sees that. But every artist that's behind a team, a label even, they've already seen. They're like, man, if you don't got that going for you, we're doing it, but not doing it,
So after you get those testing plays, you get everything together, and then now the song is going to be gone, launched, and see what happens. And then after that, you start recouping the things on the back end.
It doesn't even stop there when the song is launched. So when the song is launched, what are you going to do to talk to people and let them know? You're going to have to go on your little press tour. And that's between you and your team now, seeing what kind of numbers are you making? Where are you even popular besides locally? How can you now make your brand global? Gotcha. How can you now walk into another city and be like, hey, this is me? And the places in the other city are going to be like, so who are you working with over here? That's why also some artists are comfortable at home because, hey, once the whole city knows you, you can eat. You can eat. Once you got a good song in the radio, you start eating off of features. You start eating, they'll start paying attention. You're eating off of appearances. Yeah. A lot of artists from locally who haven't broken onto a world market, or even if they have had that one song that goes worldly, they get enough recognition here to have a whole career. Shit, I've even heard that some artists can tour Texas and be fine with it.
Yeah, Texas is huge.
See?
It is. And there's so many little towns closer to the big towns, like closer to Houston, closer to Austin. Mm-hmm. They're not the biggest town, but they still have a solid amount of population.
Correct, yeah.
They can still perform, and they're looking for that particular person, because the bigger artists, the more mainstream artists, they're never going to go there. But this guy is, their song is freaking hot. Like, why not have them here? Why not have them come and perform?
And you have to have other people besides yourself, or else yourself. Be very intuitive about how people respond to you.
Gotcha.
Where are they going to like your music? Once you get that formula down pat and you learn to rinse and repeat and have the proper budgeting, because in the end, as an artist, what are you doing? Because yes, I want to promote my music. I want my new album to sell, but that's still not enough to eat. So what other things as an artist too am I going to do? Merchandise game. Yep. What am I going to come out by shirts? Am I on my Instagrams wearing shirts? How many people in my friends list is wearing my product? That's really, really matters if you're not thinking about that. How many people that I walk and meet and shake hands can be my billboard? At least for that one moment in time so I can take the Instagram picture.
Yep.
It's that also brand recognition, brand awareness as an artist. It's not, hey, let's say all you got is one hit wonder. Then make merchandise based around that one song. And you can watch that one song that's 2-3 years old just because you put these shirts out might hit when it's supposed to hit.
Yeah. And then you never know, because things come back to life. Some songs in TikTok, when they're old, super old, all of a sudden they just make a comeback. And before you know, you get another run at it.
Yeah.
All right. What other steps we need to have as an artist? Once you've done the branding and everything, now you're looking into touring. You're starting to create moments so you can, continue to eat. What else can they keep doing?
I mean, once you get to that stage and it goes back to step number one, like, again, have that right team around you. Because once now you're touring, you're going to need people to keep up with you. My girlfriend, Kat, that's what she does. She makes sure that the talent is on point to what they need to do, where they need to be. They show up good. They look right. They look presentable because it's a walking brand. And shout out to Cat Diesel, by the way. And, you got to make sure that it's hard once you have that machine going. Then after that, you got the person that has to make you relevant, has to make sure that in the press, your story is a story that target market can relate to now. How does your story of the struggle make my story, your story, everyone's story, so you can now relate to me when you see my picture? When you see my picture, you see a reflection of your own self. That's what an artist wants to get out of a fan. Eventually, I want you to see yourself in me, that ego stroke, and sometimes your fan who doesn't have the backbone uses you as a backbone. And that's very important.
Gotcha.
It's very important. So do you have that in you now? Now that you're touring, whatever, do you have the responsibility to be a gatekeeper to yourself? Because at that point, people are going to have an influence. People are going to think about you as a role model. And you can choose to be like, I'm not a role model, and watch how many people you affect. Or you can be like, yeah, I'm a role model. I'll be a little bit more conscious about the music I put out now. And that's a problem I see with even music nowadays. Glorification and nullification of violence. To where even to get noticed, you have to talk about violent experiences you've gone through.
And there's the ops that they already passed away.
But who are the ops? Some artists that are famous are still famous off of selling the same bag of dope they sold in 2002. It's still the same bag of dope, the same street that we holding down, that homie died over. And in the end, I feel like some music is just straight up disrespect to maybe memories of first off of a culture, and then memories of people that we hold near and dear. We numb making fun of people we've buried. We can't numb that. We cannot normalize that. We cannot put on TMZ a murder of a creative mind and be like, man, I'll wait till the next one. It's the same thing with school shootings. We're just going to normalize acts of violence. And when we do that, then what happens?
It's not normal. I mean, none of those things are normal.
No,
Those things are like no common sense behind it, no logical. There's nothing you can do, no matter how many times. We should realize that shit is not normal. It's not okay.
But they sell us that image.
But there's up to one to decide, like, no, we're not gonna. Even though it's a occurrence that happens often, it's not going to be something that, at least for me personally, I'm gonna say that this shit is not normal. It's not normal. I don't care how many times you're gonna play it like it is, and I'm grateful it doesn't happen to me within my family, but it sucks where it happens to other people. But it's not freaking normal at all.
And it's crazy. We might say this, but statistically, it's going to happen to us.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. As a male, you're going to be a victim or know somebody that's a victim of gun violence.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
That's not, But what we can do as respective and type of members of society we are, entertainers, we can be vocal, especially with platforms like this. And yes, we're going to be promoting music, but be a little bit wiser when who you're promoting, how you're promoting, and pushing it up there. We are the people holding the cameras on. They're not going to get famous if we don't film them. The minute we stop filming that, we're going to stop seeing the value of it. Right. And the more that we keep education going, and the more that we keep education of music and culture in the schools as well. Because, what they do take away from us is identity when we go into schools. They want us to be the next great whoever, get another job, resume, and go to wherever to feed the system, spend your money on the weekends, and rinse and repeat.
Get in debt in college.
Yes, and get credit cards. Get lots of credit cards.
A lot of credit cards. Spend money you don't have.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the Valley of the Kings, because I think you were touching up a little bit on what you were talking about, the artist and what it takes. So, and after you get to that, it's never ending, right? To keep growing the artist, and you're just gonna have to repeat a couple of times.
It's a rinse and repeat process. Yeah. Once you got those key elements, you realize that the next step when you go and do music again, you learn what you did wrong, and you learn what you did right. Every time that, from my experience, working on an artist, different artists on their album, you get accepted into their family, and then once you're done with the project, you get spit back out into the regular world. So how do you stay fresh and stay not used up is what you got to know as an artist, even producer on your team. How do you keep your team still loving you? After that, how do you keep everybody still excited? Because you got bands like Rolling Stones who've been doing it for so long. How does not that become a job where the dude's like, man, I've been hearing your shit for over 30-something years. I don't want to be there no more.
But they still go to the stadiums and sell it out. That's
exactly.
Years.
Because it's good business. And in the end, that's what we are. We're in the business of entertaining. All the other stuff is great. It's byproduct. It's ego strokes. We love it. We look great in designer clothing, sponsorship clothing that we didn't pay for. But in the end, we're creating. That's in the end what we're doing, just creating.
I like the fact that you touched up earlier on the fact that who's going to be involved, because all that matters as far as whenever things get distributed, who is going to be what and what percentage. So later you don't have problems with people like, I was there. I said, yeah, a few times, and that's on the song.
Yeah.
Now you have problems because that person,
he wants in.
He was in.
He wants in. And then, you got to respect that. Everybody's time is valuable. That one dude told you the yeah. You let him into the room. And guess what? That yeah. Try listening to the track without the yeah. It's going to matter. It's going to matter because that one dude who has probably the least experience writing a song has the most experience on where stuff is going to fit in the best.
Yeah, because he's a fan of maybe just the music, and he understands, he likes he hits, and he understands sometimes when the things that he be listening to, this is what they be doing.
Always keep that individual. Yeah. Always keep what I say, virgin ears in your studio. Keep a person who hasn't been completely distraught by the industry and still can listen to a CD and be like, man, I really like that song. Why? Because I like it.
Yeah.
No ins and outs. No, the engineering here was, the tweaking of the mastering was so.
I've been jamming that song, so I get into a mode where I jam a song for like a week, 2 weeks, a month, once.
Yeah.
So right now I'm in that song. It's almost a year old. I think it's like a guy from Africa.
Okay.
I think it's called Calm Down.
Okay.
Baby, calm down.
Calm down. Yo, this your body, it puts in my heart for lockdown.
It's got a nice little freaking mellow. I really like it. I don't even understand some of the things, but it's a freaking vibe. It just makes you put you in the picture of a beach and dancing with your significant other, just jamming.
Yeah.
I don't know what it went into the production, but man, it's a whole vibe. The song is freaking beautiful.
Those are opinions right there. Those are where you can remove yourself and get that opinion and then be a better producer. Yeah. Because again, feeling. I'm always going to be a big preacher of feeling. Just like Rick Rubin. If it don't feel right, I don't want to mess with it, you know. And if I can create too, also, when you're in the studio with people who are shy or it's your first time, like, you know, new engineer, new studio jitters, I got to break the vibe now. As a producer, engineer, I got to break. What thing can I remind him of his house real quick, or his friend, or if he brought his friend with him, let me try to break the ice with the home.
Trying to build a reporter already off the bat You have to.
Like, I've even been in sessions with, you know, famous producers like DOC and even Stevie J, where there's a conversation going on before we press play. Like, I need to know where you're at here.
Yeah.
Music, not mentally. Mentally, I'm already invested. I'm here. I already done the research. But musically, where are we? How mature are you with the way we create music? That's always really important. I don't say there's no problem with not being mature in music.
But it helps you figure out which direction or where we're going to start, and you're not getting frustrated or creating a plan of how we're going to attack this project.
Exactly.
That's dope.
Exactly.
Okay, so I forgot to ask you earlier, the decision for you to go to school for audio engineering and all that, is that because of the love of music or because you felt more into the production? The love for the production part is more where you still make the music because you do it for yourself. But as far as being in the engineer, seeing that effect, that face expression, that one phrase that said, "Yeah, you make me sound the best I ever did," that's what you fell in love for mostly? And is that what kind of made your decision to go to school and learn more about it?
I fell in love with the creation. I fell in love with every great song has some story behind it.
You tell me.
That's what I fell in love with. Everything else is an awesome byproduct. That's what I really think. The fame, those awesome experiences you get with the people in that room for that brief moment in time, awesome. But it's just the creation of it. Even if it's just a creation of making a synth we're going to use on a beat, that's not even part of the creation of the song. You know, we're going now changing up what phases of creating do I enjoy the most now in music. You know, I like that instead. Where do we move from, I can't get the cymbal right, I can't get this lead in the song right, so let me bring a musician in. That's more interesting to me than the other stuff that people really come into the industry for.
Gotcha.
The money is awesome, yeah, great, thank you for it, but in the end, it's something we're going to spend to be better. We're going to reinvest that money into our careers if we're smart.
Yeah.
So it's nothing that I get to sit there and be like, look at all this money. The money pile never grows to the point we want it to. It's just how it is.
Look at what I made and look what I'm going to make.
I keep it going. And I keep it going because the key word in this game that a lot of producers told me is consistency.
Consistency.
It's just a common word. It's consistency. You keep on doing it, and people don't stop seeing you do it. I mean, that's why we enter jobs. That's why we even want to be recognized, because we've sat there and done this so long and haven't stopped. Yeah. You know, and if the one ego stroke I'm gonna get, let it be that, for God's sakes, you know, because, you know, you don't, people forget you after 5 years or so if you don't stand out.
Yeah, true to that. Okay, so you are a founder and co-owner of Valley of the Kings Music, which, again, this is the establishment that we're at. Mm-hmm. We're going to do some B-rolling here in a little bit as we're talking. So when did the decision to start and create is this the second location, or what location is this now?
This is my third location.
So you used to be in what was the first location?
First location is off Commerce and Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. It's
downtown Dallas?
Yeah, the place now I believe is called the Weed Spot now. Mm-hmm. It's a CBD dispensary, but it used to be a place called Last Beat Studio. One side was a professional studio. Bells and whistles is really cool, and the other side was just straight rehearsal rooms. So I was recording out of my house at some point in time with an artist named Youngbleed, used to be signed to No Limit, and we saw some flying star in the backyard. He told me it was a UFO, and that right there was the beginning of everything that I did, because from that experience in my home studio, he looked at me and he goes, "Look, we just saw some crazy spectacular shit, so let me tell you a piece of advice that you might take with you." And he told me, he's like, you're not going to ever be who you can fully be if you don't get out of this comfort zone called your house. Right. If I come to your house and I can record and I can see where you sleep, where you shit, where you know, just be, I'm not into that. I'm an artist that I've been to the best studios in the world. I still need to still feel like an artist. I still need to have that oomph, even if I haven't made anything in years, I still need to feel my importance because I am an artist. That's what I am in the industry as your coworker. Make me still feel that awesomeness about myself so I can create the best with you. The minute I got that rolling, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out the home studio and I'm going to go find somewhere where I can set up shop. Me and 2 other friends, we kind of just found a spot in Deep Ellum, that practice room. We built a practice room, and by chance, we had a man named Bob Suffolk, world famous studio designer. He also helped design this one here too. Actually designed all of it. Nice. But he came by while we were trying to figure out what to build, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll build you a room here for this much. I'll just do the blueprints for y'all. Y'all build it." And we took his offer. He built us these blueprints in a room that he goes, "I've never built a room this small and this professional, but you know, I like y'all's guys' hustle. Let's do this." So in that little practice room, we built this half Livy. It's a Livy design mixing room that, man, I was in there grinding for 4 years, doing the best right there in the middle of Deep Ellum, right during Katrina and stuff like that. I could just walk out outside and population would be walking by, and you pass out your flyers, and you're gonna get a client or 2 if you didn't have a good day.
And there's people there consistently performing too with different artists.
Yeah, back around that time, it was all packed. But then what hurt my business was at the time that the crime just got crime here comes in waves. So Deep Ellum got infested with crime, outside crime. People couldn't go outside of the bars. Everybody was fighting type stuff. And that's what my business went down. And that's when I said, man, 4 years was kind of enough there. Where can I evolve and grow out of?
Gotcha.
Good old Craigslist, though. I found my second studio on. And at that time, I met this talented engineer named Tony Griffin. And, he used to record the radio tags for 98.7 K-Love. Nice. He used to do all that stuff there. And I entered into his facility. We had a great conversation. And I said, how can we enter a business deal where I can take over the lease and you could still do business here? So we figured out something, and he became like this older, I was like in my late 20s at the time, and this is older 60-something-year-old man who gets accredited by the school I went to. So the school I went to would go to him to accredit their whole curriculum. Really? And so in our spare time, we have this legend in audio engineering where he was like at this point in time, it was like the end of his career. Everything had kind of just gotten really comfortable for him. And what we did is we put a little spike into his, man,
the youthness in life.
And we brought him back to where the point where he was teaching us things that I couldn't have gotten. I went to school and I was learning things from Tony Griffith that I couldn't learn at school at all. And even the art of the relationship with the client. That's something right there that every audio engineering school needs to just have a yearly curriculum, because it changes. Yeah. It changes the art of the client,
the personalities, everything.
The evolution, music, I thought was awesome back in the Dallas dance boogie times. That was awesome. It hasn't aged properly, now. And even if it has aged properly, the music that particular fan base that I'm trying to create music for or sell music to evolves. Yeah. And if I have that closed-minded view, I don't listen to new music, then you just don't. New music is the sound of the culture now. If we don't listen to new music, then we're not going to hear the problems, literally.
Not to mention the technology, too. It changes with everything. The sound is just not the same compared to what it used to be. Even if you recorded live instruments, it's just gotten better for you can, grab some of those sounds that you couldn't back in the days either.
Yeah.
So you have to learn all that.
And things have become the norm, like auto-tune. Auto-tune is the norm now, that even if you have somebody that can sing, go ahead and put that auto-tune on them and then make it really low to where it's just minor pitch correction to give that shimmer, that little, shine on the track. Yeah. It becomes now an industry standard that even if you have talent there, I just put the auto-tune on it anyways. You're not going to make them sound like a robot, but just give it that, it's always some key word. The main reason why some engineers use Avalon preamp compressor EQ combos is because they have that warmth. A lot of the warmth that we like in, me personally, in rap music, reminds me a lot of the warmth I heard in Nas records. A lot of the warmth heard in just good New York rap when it was at its best. When people kind of stepped out of doing the home studios and got into, Quad City Records, like stuff like that. When you had real deal engineers that had worked on, again, Grammy-winning projects with different genres, but now they were caught up mixing this whole rap hip-hop genre. That type of ear, too, was interesting to me. So we get this engineer who, for the first time, he's introduced to hip-hop, and look what he does to it. Wow, oh my God. And those are the things that I also nerd out on, too.
That's cool.
What is the sound palette of that particular moment in history, and how does it evolve? And as a producer engineer, you take that with you, and how can you make that yours with the ever-changing crap sometimes, Yeah.
And after that place with that gentleman, where was that studio at?
That was over there off of 35 and Beltline. Before they expanded the highway.
Okay.
So that's how I had to get out of that location.
And how long were you over there?
I was there almost 4 or 5 years, I believe.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the third location now?
Yeah, I took a whole year break.
Uh-huh.
I went to Colorado to enjoy Colorado.
So that's the time you were over there?
Yeah, we were building this location because the Texas Department of Transportation expanded the building of their highway over our studio.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get into some, court situations with them and settle out of court and stuff. And
what's that called?
Eminent domain. Yeah, eminent domain.
Eminent domain. If you don't know what that is, Google it.
Yeah, I know that word like it's tattooed on my forehead. I know that word way.
The government's trying to build a highway. Your house is in it. Your house is going to be taken away. Doesn't matter how much.
But for a hefty negotiable price.
Yeah. So make sure you negotiate the highest price ever and get the most out of it. Just know that you're going to be moving. There is no buts about it.
And don't let the landlord try to negotiate the price for you.
Nah. But learn that word. But
so I was able to find this building. I've been in this building, I think, for 7 years now.
Oh, nice.
And in this building, it was my first time that I had a studio that part of the design process was input that my family had. Part of the whole location, everything that we wanted is something that we all concentrated as a whole unit.
Gotcha.
By the time the business stopped becoming a business with friends and became now a family-owned business and stuff like that, and then not just being a family-owned business became a minority-owned, female-led business, so that was one of the things we wanted to take to the evolution of being in here as well. We wanted to change the business model that we had going on, which was generally just catering to a rap community and trying to grow a fan base like that as a studio, a lot of having the infantile notion in their head of a lot of, I'm going to be the next Motown. You have to get rid of that, So when I came in here, I didn't want to have this, this is the next Motown. No, this place here is a creative hub. This place is where anybody can get together and be. Either you can be on front of a camera or you can be musically, just be. I want to have the best of the best in every single room and not worry about them. Oh, he's going to steal from me. He's going to, there was a point in time in a recording studio that you had Bob Dylan, you had Roy Orbison, you had George Harrison from the Beatles, and you had I believe it was Willie Nelson, and they were on the band called the Traveling Wilburys. And in that, there's no Bob Dylan, right? Yeah. So they're Traveling Wilburys, and they all were there because they recorded in the same studio. And then during break, they'd be like, "Shit, we're over here recording in the same studio. Let's just get this band together." And history. That band right there, you're never gonna see. Tom Petty was in there. You're never gonna see all those superstars like that play, in the way they got together. Just generic, not forced, not whatever. It was a place that you can congregate. There's a different other studios out there that have that vibe where you just step in and you're happy to know that there's a friend of yours in Studio B, because when you can go and run to the other studio and be like, "Hey, come over here and check it out." I love that. When I can get an artist here that's recording folk rock music and go to the artist that's over there probably recording a whole nother genre, step in here, and maybe that artist is like, "Hey, let me get a quick verse in there." And then you as a producer, engineer are not creating a new genre because you're mixing different sounds.
That's how Santana, whenever he was creating his sounds, he was hearing mariachi and he was hearing some other type of sound. And somewhere in the middle, he heard the sounds mixed.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he started creating the way that he was going to be playing, because he heard the mix of the mariachi, mix of whatever band was playing.
Yeah.
And in the middle, he was there and he was listening to it. And that's how he started to evolving his sound.
Yeah, man.
Creating. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's super dope. Okay, so the services that y'all provide here at the Valley of the Kings, can you tell me a little bit what all is it that y'all do?
I do the basic stuff that every studio does: recording, mixing, mastering. Also help with the production when it comes to if a person needs a little help with their song, to say that whatever they worked on isn't quite up to where they want it to be. I help on that aspect as well as the singing, songwriting. And then one thing we started to do post-pandemic was help with social media presence. And not presence as do this every time on your Facebook. It's more like, how are you going to carry yourself so people can want to follow you?
Gotcha.
You know, what kind of content are you going to create so people want to monetize your content as well? So,
okay. And then you were telling me earlier regarding the artist, like if you were working on a song, not only do you record, you provide the basics, but if you wanted to get a more experience and you're really looking for professionals to take your career to the next level, you also create that or help build that?
yes, I help build at least a roadmap to where you can either comprehend where you're headed to and can take it from there. I'm in no way interested in being anyone's manager. I'm in no way interested to be a gatekeeper or any of that. I believe the artist should empower themselves and their own vision to do that themselves. But what I want to do is give awareness to the artist that, you know, you got to have this much money to come into the industry in some sort of way, you know. And
or get creative to get something happening.
Yeah, have somebody that believes in you, or cut a cost by learning how to do websites on your own, do your graphics on your own, do your production on your own. That might cut you a whole, you know, do the recording at your house to where you know how you're going to balance it, because the first couple of years, like any business, you're not going to make any profit. You know, you're busy starting the business.
Investing. It's all investment for the first few years.
So I want to have that conversation with every artist that I speak with, because that also determines how long am I going to be in business with you. You know, I have to gauge that as a business. How long is the lifespan of the average artist that can only put this much? And then how do I can help? If I don't want to see that talent fizzle, how can I as a studio or a human being, period, help you not? Because creating music is important. And when you've invested so much and you feel like you get no return, let's find a way to get a return then. Because maybe all this planning that you did, since it's well documented, we can change up the formula. But if it's not well documented and you're not aware about those things, how can you change up a formula for success? Or how can you even have a formula of success? Everything becomes like a buzzword, like you got to do more marketing.
What does that mean?
You know,
what does mean marketing?
I got to do more branding. You know, it's like, stop giving me keywords and just tell me who. Give me a name. Give me a business card.
What do you need to do? What does it mean? But marketing could be a million and one thing. Social media marketing, this and marketing. Like, what do you mean brand? What? My logo, my what, my this, my that.
And how do I not buy snake oil too? Because also you're in an industry that it's a very scam heavy industry. So you got this documentary, I think, coming out, this American Greed thing with DJ ASAP, which is basically pyramid scheming the scene.
What is that? I haven't seen it. I haven't kept up with what does it mean? Just hear him kind of sort of telling the secrets of how people get finesse. Like people with a dream that want to make music, and all of a sudden they get.
Yeah. I mean, the industry has a lot of people that sell wolf tickets. They feed on your dream. They like the ability of they sell you the dream. They find a way to dry out your budget. You know, they find a way where they know what you got. What kind of smoke and mirrors again put you in front of? What kind of clubs I can have you walk through that's going to make you feel awesome, that I got the plug for, that I know I can get you a walkthrough in there for free, but I probably charge you so much because I got to make a living. And that's all understood. But do you care whether, once the budget's gone, do you care where this artist goes? Or do you only care that he feeds your machine internally?
The music swindler. They put you and sell you in a beautiful club and shouting out your name, and all they want to do is take your funds. And the homie is like the promoter.
Now, there's nothing wrong with having to stay in business. Now, if you know an artist, that's all you're going to get at that place, well, you better get yourself a photographer. You better shoot a video in that place. You better, since that place is hyping you up, you yourself better make sure you document all that. And then that whole month is just like, look what I did. Look how badass I look. You know, that's the trick, man. You know, if you know you're going to feel like you're going to get finessed like that, if you're even going to take that negativity towards it, like, no, make the best out of it.
Make the best out of it.
Make it the best out of it. Tell your aunt to hold the iPhone the whole time. I mean, do something that doesn't make you feel like
You're a victim.
or discouragement.
Took advantage of
Yeah, the music industry is full of a bunch of fuck moments. Just God damn it. But when you get those highest highs, when you really bust your ass, they're very rewarding. Very rewarding, and it feels easy. That's why they have this overnight success. Because once you get the formula down, oh man, it's just rinse and repeat.
Not to mention those particular moments really do challenge the fact that, do you really love this? Are you doing it as a hobby or something that you thought that you would make it, or this is challenging to realize, like, do you really love this stuff to keep pushing after that happened, to keep going and keep doing it and figure out different things to push you higher?
Yeah, you gotta. To me, it took me a moment when I was in my mid-20s to realize that I'm a lifer for this. I'm doing this forever. I'm not, as much as I want to take a break one day, I can't take a break. It's always creating music, working on music. All my friends do music, are always around. So it never stops. So I can't take a break from that. It's just, I'm in it to win it. And my wins aren't going to be the wins that people want. Sometimes my win with just getting one famous name in here and still seeing how the industry works from an actual person in there getting paid by a machine is the greatest joy of doing this, because I get to still know, and I'm still in the know, and I still get to know how the industry works, rather than being a dude who never gets to meet anyone in the industry in their life and makes it up in their head. And now you have these made up notions of how the industry works, and you act bitter because you're not famous. You act salty because you're not part of the scene. I mean, nothing is yours here. You're not entitled to anything here. What you're supposed to do is be a member in this. I run a studio. I wanted to be a rapper, but I realized, hey man, if everyone's a rapper and every rapper wants what? That stage should be mine. I never felt that anything should be mine. The only thing that should be mine is the effort I put into causing my brand to be known. That's mine. I did that. I did all that help. I was able to organize the people to make that happen, and we all mutually shared a great benefit of it. Again, you have to have that mentality in this industry to survive in it, to build thicker skin, because there's always going to be a critique. There's always going to be people that felt like they helped you get there. But once you got there, like, how much of the people stay around is important too. This gets uninteresting. If you do music in your youth and you realize that towards your 30s, like, if you don't really find the love for it, you're gonna stop doing it.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of famous people that you work with, let me name a few of the people that you actually work with. You had the privilege of working with a Grammy-nominated and award-winning producer, Ja Bourne, DOC, Symbolic One, Sick With It, along with all kinds of different artists. Nipsey Hussle, Bun B, UGK, Los, Joel Santana, Flavor Flav, Lil Flip, The Road Music, Casino Guillotine, Slim Thugs, Know The Product, Prince P, Charlie Boy, High Note, DJ Drama, Hollywood Baby, Travis Porter, Tynesha, Kelly, Tum Tum, B-Ham, Sore Loser, Money, Water, High Note Music, you have them twice, Loyalty Sally, Young Nation, Flower Child, Erykah Badu, Gorilla Zoe, Paul Wall, Ritz, Gucci Mane, Young Bleed that you mentioned earlier, and many more. Damn, bro.
That's the cool thing about owning a studio.
Yeah.
Owning a studio, you get to meet those people, you get to see the people, and those are lists of people that have walked through my doors.
Yeah.
There's out of that list, there's some that I've worked with, and there's some that I've just, again, facilitate. That's all I really wanted to do, is just have a place where I could facilitate and still see how this music industry works. Yeah. I like the history of it all. So all the names you've named, I've owned the facility for them to come through my door, and I've also had other talented engineers, work and been able to have that experience together for these particular names that you named off.
Dope.
It's like I said, I've been doing this since I was 19. It's been a whole 20-year wild ride of it, and even like some of the names you listed, I was like, yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, man.
Then that was a fun time. That was a fun experience. He brought a whole two tour van buses full of people. My studio had never been that full. I knew for a fact I was capacity that day. I was like, everything was full.
Two buses.
He had just came from the concert that he did with the game. Uh-huh. Right from then, he went straight to the studio, tour bus and all. I mean, it was my first real taste of like seeing the machine, you know. I was like, wow. I remember seeing, oh man, I saw this producer. I was really fanboying at that point in time about like, just, wow, this is crazy. There was even a pimp walking around.
What?
There was even a pimp walking around with Snoop Dogg on FaceTime. Snoop Dogg on FaceTime. And it was just like, wow, this is here. This is
So
cool.
the pimp is on the phone talking to Snoop Dogg.
Dude,
Are you
yeah, on
serious?
FaceTime talking to all of us and stuff like that. And it was, you know,
That's
cool
freaking
little
dope.
experience, man.
Okay, tell me one more story that stands out besides that one. That was pretty dope. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, but that was awesome that you were able to facilitate the place. Tell me one more that's standing out right now that comes to mind about, you know, people that came through.
Oh, man.
I know you have a million and one stories, but
One that really stands out that's kind of cool is I'm a big Tupac fan.
yeah.
So I like to hear his stories. So I got to work with Shock G at one point in time. And, you know, that was it was cool because it was like working with a creative genius and seeing him kind of be in an environment where I would compare like a Hunter S. Thompson, you know, really in his vibe. You can't take him out of his zone. And when he wanted to open up to you, he opened. You weren't going to sit there and ask him questions like, hey, tell me about Tupac. No, you sit there, you're sitting there rolling your own blunt. He comes sit down next to you and he's like, you know when we was doing this song? You're like, oh shit, hold on. Yes, I want to know about when you were doing that song. And, you know, he goes off and that was probably one of the most memorable times for me personally because I got to hear firsthand accounts of a musician that I've always wanted to know that process. And especially my favorite album, Me Against the World, which Shock G did a lot of production behind. And to hear the compositions of Shed So Many Tears, how that all came about and the vibe there, just hearing those stories was way better than hanging out with Justin Bieber, stuff like that. And trust me, like, that right there was still to me one of the coolest moments.
How did that song come about? What was the intel of that story?
Which one?
Remember what they tell about that song you was telling me about?
With Shed So Many Tears, it's more like the lick that homie was messing around with the piano because he was an awesome, you know, keyboardist, instrumentalist, period. And just coming around with just the playing it, and then reinterpolating a sample because that's what it originally was, a sample. So the whole struggle he told me about having to reinterpolate the sample and then, you know, first trying to come up with the writing because it was Pac would be in his own zone writing music. And then, you know, sometimes there'd be a little interjection. And since homie was a producer, he had to always really figure out a vibe, like to get Pac to open up and just describing how he got Pac to even just mess with his voice or even do those little things that producers do to discover those eureka moments. I really liked it, like him telling me that Pac finding his the voice that we all now like stuck in our head, trademarking.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Awesome. We're running a little bit out of time. I appreciate your time. Thank you again. We'll shoot a couple of B-rolls to show the great studio that you have. But you also have other stuff going on too. Like you have a barbershop and there's the room that you do. I don't know if you have used it for performing or practice your performance.
Yeah, so
like that, right?
So every room here I like to have for some sort of creation purposes, and it's not just music. It goes with the culture of what we do.
Gotcha.
So what's part of the culture of music is looking fresh, staying styled, you know? So that's why I made sure there was a barbershop. Because sometimes there's a lot of video shoots that happen here. And maybe that artist doesn't have time to get that edge up or the barber wasn't available. But it's important to show ourselves the way. We got to look clean. We got to look desirable. You got to look clickable, you know? So, hey, why not put the barbershop right there where, hey, you know, some of the best barbers I got around here doing their thing and make my clients, you know, more comfortable where they're at and feel more the vibe of where they would if they were styling themselves for a music video. Music video got all that going on. Then the next thing too is like I have other studios. I have a Studio B, and that Studio B for me is something I wish I had available when I was in music. You know, it's a place where you can go and set up shop on your own there. You're the engineer. You come with your own clients. All you really pay is the fee to be in there. And set up shop, learn how it is to run a business in a business environment of your own creating, rather than taking people to that one place where the dude can see where you sleep, where you shit, where you live, and take them to the place where you make beats, where you cut deals, where you do business as a real person in the industry.
So they can take you serious because they're going to take you serious and maybe, like you said,
I was there.
Or whatever.
I was there. I was that dude recording people out the house.
But you noticed the difference once you had your place compared to that. You understood what he was saying, the DJ, the artist was saying.
Yeah, I understood the young lady was saying.
It is a whole different vibe.
Oh, yeah.
And people take you different from what you're doing now, what you were doing with your homies, all of a sudden, it's like, I mean, you have a freaking brick and mortar, you have a place, and people are like looking to you like, yeah, I heard of y'all before. Even before I met you years ago, I heard of Valley of the Kings. That name here in the Dallas area is known, and you hear it all the time. I know so because I've been around and did music too for a little bit. But I heard of y'all before. Y'all's name been all over the DFW. You hear it often as far as people that coming over here doing work and different things like that.
Yeah.
But so that came from the part that you needed to have a place in order to be taken serious, to be seen like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope.
Amen.
Okay, so tell me all your social media, all projects that you have going on. I know you was telling me you have a single. So you do music still now for you.
Well, I do music for fun. I'm like, once everybody's gone and I still got energy, I'm like, hold on, I still got a bug in me. Yeah, and I'm always producing, like, like an artist draws. I mean, producing music to me is that when I need to chill or do something like that, I'll make a beat. So I have a lot of beats in my own personal storage, and then I'll bust them out. And, writing a song is pretty simple. So if the creative juice is in me, boom, I'll go ahead and do it. So right now, like, I got 2 singles that I've put out on my Billy Syn page on my Spotify.
Yep.
And slowly throughout this year, just putting out all the music that I've recorded in the last 3 to 4 years. I have a lot of music with High Note. I have a lot of music that I've helped produce that never has seen the light of day. That I kind of just want to stop being that audio hermit that I talk about, and I don't want to be that person that I tell you not to be myself. But again, so I do that. I got the Spotify Billy Syn. I also got on Instagram Billy Syn, Facebook Billy Syn. But then when you get to my Twitch, it's Billy_Syn, and Twitch is a whole nother beast when it comes to the thing. From there, it's like I've brought my music, but I brought the music now into combining it with the gaming and combining it with the being a content creator in its essence. When I go on Twitch, I stream. When you're a streamer, you got to stream there for like a good 4 hours. So in them 4 hours, I have curated playlists where I have different producers that I enjoy on Spotify. So while I'm playing the video game, they're my soundtracks. At the same time, they're my soundtrack. It allows them to get paid, do whatever they're registered in there if the algorithm catches it and such. And then I'm promoting who they are, their brand, seeing their logo, where the album is coming from. Another hour, I promote my own music. So I'm promoting my own self, or people that have worked in the studio, people working at the studio with releases. That's their self-promo time. And then the rest of it becomes more like a conversational or check me out playing this game, but still constantly plugging in my brand. Yeah. So besides just playing games, I'm kind of just really trying to tap into a new audience and showing them all this library of stuff that I've already made. And I can just introduce it to a brand new audience in a brand new way that they can consume it. And at the same time, see that I'm also a music producer, and I can add to their content, creating experience by giving them original music. So in the essence, I'm just really there streaming to promote everything I do here in real life. But hey, I'm not just stuck to in real life. I can also help you with the streamers, which is a growing business. The video game industry is a ever expanding, doesn't ever shrink at this point, So, and then the streaming market is a very large market to where you're getting your top-notch celebrities now, A-list celebrities coming out to stream or out of streams. So that's also another thing I really wanted to touch on is just the streaming. So again, Instagram, all Billy Syn, but when you get to Twitch is Billy_Syn.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted it to be a whole different vibe from everything that was promoted.
Absolutely. And as far as any merchandise or anything that you do as far as here at the Valley of the Kings, and one more time, the information for Valley of the Kings. Address and the email, telephone number, website, whatever.
Right. Valley of the Kings, man, located in 9550 Skillman Street, Suite 410. The number to get a hold of everything is 469-223-1591. And that's how you get a hold of it. And then social medias, you can send the DMs and I'll reply right back. That's it. That's it.
So I'll put all the stuff on the description. Make sure we have make sure we have all the information there for you to make sure people find it. Now, as far as the shout outs, any shout outs you have?
Oh, man, shout out to Los, to High Note, man. Shout out to High Note. Shout out to everybody that helped me, do this. My former partners, business partners, my mom, my family. Those are all the people that helped with the beginning of this. And even when I moved into this, if it wasn't for dudes like High Note and Enrico and IQ, just helping the brand that I have get out there. It's important to have that foundation. If I didn't create that foundation with my artists, with my clients, the dudes like Munster, these are all people I love. And because they helped me at a very early stage to evolve with who I became and have become, it's important. Again, those are the people I really love and I constantly give a shout out to.
And also, Valley the King, also, if you want to do some kind of release party, you can also talk to you about that, not only producer, because you are not focusing, but you are able to, if you needed to, have like a release party. Yeah, do that.
So it's, I have this studio that's also a venue. So in the venue, I like to create parties that are different so the artist can express themselves and still be able to get that album release feeling.
Right.
I had a party here for Prince P, really talented artist that I've worked with for the last long time, almost a decade. And we created a whole experience here with him as well, with Wolfie, that the audience didn't know they were in on something. It's like we was seeing this experiment, how they would react to the music, how they would react to also the vibe. The Prince P's party was really got a dress for success look. That's his look, his whatever. So everybody that came through the door dressed for success, really sharp, really awesome. While then you had Wolfie's premiere, which was more like an interactive, almost felt like a dinner theater type of with live performances going on. So those are the vibes I want to create here at this studio as well. So if you're looking to make something more out of your event than the average, hey, listen to my party, here, check the list of all the songs in this club.
They're not even going to play your song.
Yeah, no, I want to have you at least perform for the people that came to listen to you, that so they can know that what they're hearing on wax is still going to be something that they see in real life.
And then you have the whole sound and everything, the speakers, and it sounds great.
Whatever I have here through the community of artists and engineers and people that have helped me grow. This everything you see here is because they want it here. This is not all by chance. This is all done on purpose. And the people that you meet through these doors that have helped me for so long, like Prince P and stuff like that, they create this vibe the minute you walk into the door. Why it feels like home is because artists like them take their shoes off, put it up, and be like, hey, this is home.
Mm-hmm. That's dope. That's dope. And one more question that I have. So I usually say this one because some of things that happen to you in regards to like just life in general. So if there was a very important lesson that you learned in the music business or auto engineer that you would tell your younger self that will help somebody else, what would that be?
Protect your ears. Don't ride in a car with anybody who's going to shoot a gun or something like that. I mean, just protect your ears, okay? Just protect your ears, because it's hard going through life with hearing things differently,
Especially being an audio engineer.
Oh, man, yeah.
That's freaking
just protect your ears.
I know what you mean, because this one is not favorable because of, was it the military?
Yeah.
Put my freaking headphones, my plugs in.
You got a perforated eardrum type situation.
No, but sometimes it makes funny noise and stuff. But they gave me plugs. I just didn't do it, so I don't know what you mean. But it is important in the job that you do to make sure that you take care of it.
So at least get insurance on it.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then another question is something that I do usually in the morning times when I wake up is that I'm not immortal. I am mortal, and I will die one day. I got this from this guru that he usually does different things like that. And just to make me realize that I'm not here forever. I'm not wishing anything upon nobody, right? But we're not here forever. Eventually, it's going to expire. However, after you live the long, prosperous life, what do you want people to feel about your life?
That it was well lived.
Awesome.
That I lived it. That I got up every day and I just lived it. And didn't care about anything else.
That's dope. That's dope. All right. It's freaking crazy, bro. Like the fact that you, if it wasn't because like you fell in love with music, of course, and realizing that you liked it. And then the fact that you could have easily taken that artist and said like, what you're talking about. I'm comfortable here. I'm making music. I'm doing whatever hustle I'm making, and then that's it. But you took that, and that was life changing for you to create and have locations at different places, right? To again, I'm telling you, your name as far as the Valley of the Kings Studios is recognizable in Dallas. So that's freaking dope. And not to mention the music that y'all put out, being everywhere, it's definitely global. So Billy Syn, you definitely are a global Latin factor, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you having me here.
Man, well, yeah, you can kick back, you can chill. Guys don't gotta go home, You can still get all the B-roll and just kick back.
All right, appreciate it. This was another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Remember, we are just like you. We are people. We are the spice in this melting pot that it is the world. Till next time. Thank you very much for checking out another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Subscribe to the channel. You are very important. It means a lot to us whenever you subscribe and hit the bell so you can know when we release new episodes. Again, it makes a big difference to us and we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Walks like a pedo, but in fact he's a flamingo. Coming to Havana, Henry from Puerto Rico. On a pirate ship, he don't know where do we go.